Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, you could call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
It's me, Mario.
And the Luigi.
Are you tired of paying too much for plumbing? Mamma mia! That's why the Super Mario Brothers are here.
It has begun!
Calm down, Doctor. Now is not the time for fear.
Trying to misbehave.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Geek News Movie Night, where we take a movie that we have recently watched, and we give our thoughts, both positive and negative, about it. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And joining me is my lovely wife, Andrea. So, Andrea, I need to bring you up to speed on something. You remember way back when we did the reviews that we did of Wonder Woman 84 and Fantastic Beasts, and I can't remember what the other one was that we did, because me and Alex did Alien. But we did Wonder Woman 80. Actually, no, that might have been it. We did Wonder Woman 84, and then Sonic 2. That was the other one that we did. And we had fun doing that, right?
Yeah.
That sounds so enthusiastic. Yes, we actually did have a lot of fun doing it. Not only that, but a lot of people actually were very interested in our opinions on Sonic 2, on Wonder Woman, and on Fantastic Beasts. I actually got a little bit of a reception on that one, going that apparently we, to some people, we were too positive for Fantastic Beasts. I don't even know what to think of that, considering that we were just kind of, it's meh. I think that was the general consensus that we kind of had, is it just didn't feel like a Fantastic Beasts movie. But because of that, people wanted to, we've been actually getting questions in the streams too, of like, when are you guys going to do that again? And what movies are you going to do? And more importantly, a very big movie came out this year. And so we got a lot of questions of, are you going to tackle that movie? So here we are to tell you that yes. Our first one is on the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is kind of appropriate considering that we did Sonic 2 last time. So really quick before we get into opinions and whatnot, what did you think walking into this movie, Andrea? Generally, you're very positive, but like when you saw the trailers, did you have some of the apprehension that some other people did, like with Chris Pratt's voice as Mario or Jack Black playing Bowser or anything like that?
No.
What was your general thought on it? Just that it looked interesting, or?
It would have just been a movie.
So you very much weren't like Alex, where you basically, so Alex basically looked at it as like, what can you do with Mario? There really isn't much plot there. And also it's Illumination, the people who make Despicable Me and the Minions and all that. So they're probably like, I'm not saying that he was super negative about it, but he wasn't optimistic. Like I keep joking on the podcast, like him and me were having the opposite reactions. He was really excited for Sonic, but I wasn't. And I was really excited for Mario, and he kind of wasn't. So like that's kind of where I'm going at. You didn't have the same apprehensions that he did.
Well, if you're worried about not having much plot, well, Sonic wouldn't have either.
No, in fact, like the plot that they had for Sonic was like the plot that was already existing for Sonic, they didn't even use. Because they didn't go to Mobius. They didn't go to like deal with anything on those planets. It was on planet Earth. Like the very most that you got about the Mobius plot was like the prologue in Sonic 1 and then maybe the prologue in Sonic 2. But no, that wasn't Mobius. They made it sound like the echidnas were from a different world.
So it's like, well, I'm sure Mario, you may sound like it doesn't have a plot, but that doesn't mean you can come up with a plot.
When you saw the trailer, were you excited for it? I'm talking the reveal trailer that got hyped and all that, and everybody was... because we talked about it on the podcast, but you weren't there. So this is the one where they basically showed the opening scene with Bowser versus the penguins, and then you got a little bit of Chris Pratt being Mario. So, like, what did you think of that trailer? Were you excited afterwards, or apprehensive, meh on the whole thing? Like, where were you at?
I was interested.
You were interested in it. Like, both you and I looked at it, if I remember correctly, and we were like, yeah, we want to watch this. Now that we've kind of covered, and walking into this, I mean, I already think that this was a huge step forward, because if people don't remember, the old Mario Brothers movie existed, and I was a kid when that came out, and that was disappointing as a kid. I can appreciate it now for the humor and some of the behind-the-scenes chicanery that happened there, but as a Mario fan, especially around that time when we had the Mario cartoons, I was just like, what the hell is this? And I've actually, because of that, I've adopted a very staunch feeling that if you're going to do a Mario movie, you have to do it in CG. It has to look like, Mario Galaxy or something. And that's basically what kind of got done here. Is Illumination said, okay, well, we'll take the whimsical elements and we'll do it all animated. And I think ultimately it was for the better. So I was excited.
CG animated, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a step in the right direction. I thought they had good casting so far with what had been shown. And up until that point, Charlie Day hadn't been shown as Luigi. Anna Taylor-Joy as Peach hadn't been shown yet. And Seth Rogen hadn't been shown as Donkey Kong. Because everyone was like, Donkey Kong's going to be in the movie? And they didn't really know what to think of that. But really quick, before we go any further, let me go very quickly into a synopsis of the plot. A Brooklyn plumber named Mario travels through the Mushroom Kingdom with a princess named Peach and an anthropomorphic mushroom named Toad to find Mario's brother Luigi and to save the world from a ruthless, fire-breathing Koopa named Bowser. That's the story synopsis, in case people were wondering. And thankfully, this did not adopt the weird chicanery that Shigeru Miyamoto came up with for the original Mario. Ooh, boy. I'm not kidding. He must have been on shrooms when he came up with that. Do you not know the original plot? The original plot was that Koopa turned all of the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom into blocks.
Okay.
So Mario was literally killing the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom in the first Mario game.
Okay.
Yes. This is why, in a lot of cases, if you go on YouTube and you go, you see that Mario's a ruthless murderer, a lot of it is based on that. So that's the basic plot, but the way that the plot goes is Mario and Luigi end up in the Mushroom Kingdom, where Bowser's on a huge campaign, ultimately to conquer the Mushroom Kingdom and to get his girlfriend, Peach. And in the meantime, he's conquering everything in the way. And Peach's idea for this is ultimately that they need to recruit the Kong Kingdom. So they're like, basically in Mario structure, like where there's a bunch of different worlds, that's what they did here. And so the Mushroom Kingdom is one world, Bowser's Darklands are another, and the Kong world is also another one, but they're the ones that apparently have an army. And so she's going to go recruit the Kong army to go and fight Bowser, so that even though he has the vaunted superstar, he will not be able to conquer the Mushroom Kingdom. Insert the Mario Brothers. And there is, they basically are aspiring plumbers who have just quit their job with a big plumber company to start on their own. And they basically take a moment to gain some notoriety. They see that there's a huge blockage or flood in Brooklyn, so they go to try and fix it, and end up at a warp pipe, which lands Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom and Luigi in the Darklands. So for all the people who are screaming that all the references in the trailer to Luigi were like, oh, Luigi's Mansion's canon! No, it's just that he was in the Darklands. So, I mean, I'm not going to rule out a Luigi's Mansion movie at some point.
No, but I'm sure they just kind of made it make you feel like you're in Luigi's Mansion.
So one of the big changes I want to bring up really quick is they decided to make Mario and Luigi part of a very big Italian family. And apparently they were the ones that were going against the grain by going independent. How did you feel about them basically saying that Mario and Luigi were being idiots by the fact that they didn't stay with, what was it, Spike's plumbing company and going off on their own? And this is actually kind of the theme that goes on the entire time, is like they can accomplish anything if they stick together. What did you think about that? I thought it was at least somewhat intriguing, considering how many people around them were saying, even if you stick together, you're still nothing. And they rise up and become much more than nothing throughout this whole movie when they work together. I thought that was an interesting thing to be able to teach there. And we actually do need to mention this really quick before we go any further. What did you think of the Charles Martinet cameo? So Charles Martinet is the original Mario. He's been the guy since way back in the 90s. And he plays Giuseppe, who is the guy who, like, when they show their new commercial, which has the Mario Brothers rap, and they ask, like, Giuseppe what he thought of it, and he's basically being Mario. And appropriately enough, he is dressed like the original Jumpman in Donkey Kong, and he is next to an arcade cabinet called Jumpman, because that was the original name of Donkey Kong, was Jumpman. So, what did you think of the Charles Martinet cameo?
What he played as?
He played as Giuseppe. So they basically were saying that, like, it was a weird deal where they tried to do a passing of the torch for Chris Pratt, because they were basically saying that Giuseppe is old Mario and that Chris Pratt is new Mario. Ultimately, but like you had that quick little moment in there, both at the beginning and the end, where Charles Martinet just comes in, goes Yahoo, and just kind of leaves. I thought it was cute.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a unique way to pass the torch, especially considering that shortly after this movie, months after this movie came out, Charles Martinet has officially announced he is no longer voicing Mario. He's actually going to go into retirement.
Didn't he do the whole thing about the commercial? Inserting,
Well, they were asking him what he thought of the commercial. And he said, "Oh, it'd be great. Yahoo!"
Yeah, but I mean, didn't Charles Martinet do the voice in the commercial?
Well, Charles was he's been the voice ever since, not Mario 64, but there was a couple of PC games that came out where he was the voice of Mario, and that's how he got the role for Mario 64.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about, when they watched the commercial of them.
Oh, he wasn't part of that.
No.
He wasn't part of that. Because that's based off of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think they're the same person, but Captain Lou Albano was, did you ever watch that show?
No.
So that show had like a cartoon segment, but it also had a live action segment, and the live action Mario was Captain Lou Albano, former wrestler. But I don't think he was the voice for Mario.
Well, yeah, because you just remember in the
Charles wasn't the voice in that cartoon.
Well, I'm talking about, like when you watch you're like watching the commercial that they made, but it wasn't Chris Pratt playing the Mario in that commercial.
No, it was Chris Pratt's Mario.
Oh, so he actually
he was doing the Mario accent. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they went into the Brooklyn accent because that was going to be what was going to be.
Well, yeah, so I was just wondering if they just inserted...
Yeah, they both did like fake Italian accents for
Okay.
them. I'm guessing because they thought, we'll play into stereotypes and that'll make the commercial entertaining, and so people will call them. But no, Martinet didn't do the commercial. He was just the guy, the Jumpman afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like...
So what did you think of the cameo for it, considering that it is technically his last role as Mario?
I guess that's just
it's kind of bittersweet after he announces retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it was good because it did acknowledge Mario's history as well as being able to pass the torch because, Charles Martinet ain't no spring chicken anymore. So, you know, the fact that he announced his retirement, dude has earned it, as far as I'm concerned. So I did like that cameo. How did you feel about Chris Pratt as Mario? This is one of the big debates right now, is that a lot of people didn't like Chris Pratt's Mario. And for a number of reasons. One, because he didn't try the Italian accent. Instead, he went with the Brooklyn accent, which I think is the writer's decision. Because they were Brooklyn plumbers. Do you think he did bad? Like, I've actually seen people actually say that Charles Martinet should be insulted by what Chris Pratt did. And I don't know if I agree. Do you?
I don't see anything wrong with it.
I think it was fine. I think it was what I honestly think it was more of an homage to the 90s Mario than it was to the video games themselves. It had video game stuff in it, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the, like, for example, the commercial itself is an homage to the Mario cartoon. So that, because it is the Mario Brothers rap. So you already had that, but I don't think he did a bad job. I think considering what he was given, I think it worked out really well. Mm-hmm. Am I gonna say that he's as good as Charles Martinet? I don't even think there's I think it's difficult to compare at this point because it's just different eras. So I didn't have a problem with his performance. What did you think of Charlie Day as Luigi? Because this is another one that pissed people off, is that he wasn't like, oh, Mario, the whole time.
Well, you gotta probably think, you know, this is probably for the newer generation that a lot of people didn't grow up with Mario as much as compare the old retro fans have grown up with.
Yeah, and the old retro fans know the origin of Mario. Like, there are still some kids, because of how Martinet plays him, that think he's actually Italian. And it's like, no, he's not. He's a Brooklyn plumber. You know, I even like the fact that Miyamoto in later games kind of referenced back to them being plumbers by having them fix pipes and whatnot.
Even he was a Brooklyn plumber from...
Yeah, they were plumbers from Brooklyn. That was the original story. They were from Brooklyn, and they were plumbers. No, this is true. This is all true.
No.
And Bowser turned all of the people of the Mushroom Kingdom into blocks. So Miyamoto, literally, what were you smoking back in the 80s? And did you share with the rest of the class? So yeah, back to Charlie Day. I think he did a good job. I actually kind of like the fact that they didn't go with the current reputation of Luigi, which is like, oh, I'm afraid of everything. And instead, they did make him timid and shy, but they also made it so that he could stand on his own. He just preferred to stand with Mario, mm-hmm. because he bought into the whole thing of, like, they were stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he did a good performance overall. Let's get into the controversial ones. Actually, let's get the easy one out of the way. Jack Black as Bowser. I think everybody's pretty much in agreement. He did a good job. I am saying a lot here because for Jack, there's two speeds for Jack Black. There's Zero and there's Jack Black, because he doesn't have a whole lot of range to him. I'm actually kind of surprised that when he did the Goosebumps movie, he tamed himself back as much as he did, because usually he's just like that, oh, party kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with Bowser? And instead he channeled all of that extra energy into villainy and anger. Mm-hmm. I actually kind of liked it. How they played him off. I think it was better than, like, King Koopa back in the cartoon. What did you think of Bowser in this movie?
I really liked how he was portrayed.
Okay. Anything in particular stick out? I know everybody brings up the opening scene, and look, the opening scene is great, but he also had a couple of good moments outside of that too. Mm-hmm. So I'll at least give him that credit. If anything, the best thing for the opening segment of the movie is the "Do You Yield?" That's probably the thing that everybody will remember. But yeah, general consensus, he did good as Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the song, the Peaches song that he kept singing?
Mm.
I was a little disappointed. I think that there's an actual track of this, but I remember seeing somewhere that it made like one of the big New York lists, like the Billboard lists or whatever. It was like number 43 or something. And then I heard it, and I'm like, what the fuck are people smoking? He's just saying peaches, 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 peaches. Maybe there's I think there's an actual song. I just haven't heard it yet, but
I think that was a bit much, but okay.
But it worked with the whole obsession into Peach. I like that. I also love the scene between him and what was it, Kamek, where where Kamek has to give him some bad news, and he's at the piano playing Peaches, and so they basically start playing piano together to try and plot. That was actually pretty good. He's like, approach. And Kamek's like, I don't know if I want to. Do it. And then they just, they start plotting together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the controversial stuff. Anne Taylor-Joy as Peach. There was actually quite a bit of controversy around Peach because of her go-get-'em attitude. Apparently I swear to you, Andrea, I wish I could make this shit up, but it's the internet. The same people who are pissed off that Peach has been a, quote, damsel in distress for so long in her video game career, the fact that she came out as an outgoing, adventurous princess pissed these people off.
Why?
It's official. You cannot satisfy them. So at that point, don't even worry about it. I liked Anne Taylor-Joy's performance as Peach. I thought it was... I was actually worried that they were going to go turn it up to 11 and it was going to be really annoying. I actually think she's probably one of the better aspects of the damn movie.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked a lot of her reactions when stuff would happen in the world compared to Mario, because Mario is just like, holy crap, and that just became kind of his default. But Peach just kind of looked at it and went, okay, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And so I kind of liked it. Especially the best example, in my opinion, is when they get to the Kong Kingdom and they ask for an audience with Cranky Kong. And basically the premise is that the Kongs are the ones that have come up with the whole Mario Kart concept. And they drive them up to Cranky Kong, but they do it like to this 80s montage and all that. And she's like totally excited with the whole thing and holding on to Mario, and she's on board with it. Mario's like, ah! I thought she was the better part, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked a lot of what they did with her, and they also did attempt to try and show a frailer side to her. She didn't just adapt immediately to any situation she was put in. They actually did show that she had some issues when it came to learning power-ups and everything like that. So I like that concept. Here's the one that is going to piss everybody off. What did you think of Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong?
It was okay, I suppose.
Recast him. I find it absolutely funny that people were giving crap to Anne Taylor-Joy about Peach and to Chris Pratt about Mario. And here's an outlandish character like Donkey Kong, and Seth Rogen did fucking nothing with that role. And it actually made it difficult for me to get invested into Donkey Kong because of the fact that I had known interviews later where he's just like, oh, I don't do voices or anything like that. I just come in and be Seth Rogen. Why are you getting jobs? Like, honest to God, why are you getting jobs? Oh, because you know whose dick to suck. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I did like Cranky Kong. I can't remember who played him, but there was actually a lot of Donkey Kong lore in this, especially Donkey Kong Country lore. So I'm trying to think of all the stuff that we got there. Diddy, Dixie, Chunky, and Lanky all show up, but I don't think we saw Tiny, did we?
I didn't see Tiny.
I don't think we saw Tiny Kong. They basically overtly stated that Cranky Kong was the father of Donkey Kong. And they did keep the Cranky Kong character concept, but they changed it up a little bit, where he's not just cranky for the sake of it. He was just like a little kooky is the best way I know how to say it. What did you think about the whole concept of Mario Kart basically being in the Kong world?
That was funny. That
was actually a funny aspect to give importance to the Kongs. Basically saying that it should have been Donkey Kong Kart all along, I guess, because they were the ones that came up with the idea. I especially love the segment where they got to create their own, much like in Mario Kart 8, they got to create their own karts. And how Peach and Mario and Toad all just kind of embrace that. I'm trying to remember. So Mario ended up with just a regular kart. Peach ended up on a motorcycle. What did Toad get? Did Toad get like a super death tank or something?
Something big, I'm sure.
No, he got like a monster truck is what he got. No, the one I'm thinking of was like a Koopa. Like a Koopa Troopa. Got like a big death tank.
Or something.
Something like that. But it was actually really fun to be able to see all that happen. And what did you think about the segment where they basically tried to showcase a Mario level in like the training course for Mario to prove himself to Peach?
Oh, that whole thing.
Yeah, what did you think of that?
I thought it was kind of funny, though.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was a good way to be able to say, okay, well, he's not from this world, so he's got to learn, right? And so basically they made it look like because all the mistakes he was making, every Mario player has ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact they show Peach do it and she's flawless. And they ultimately kind of show at the end, like, she wasn't flawless the first time. Like, she's been doing this like 300 times. And that's pretty much the average Mario player at this point. So she was the average Mario player and Mario was the new guy. I kind of like that concept. Any other positives that you want to mention for this movie? I like the utilization of the Rainbow Road. So the Rainbow Road is the passage between worlds, and that's basically how they got Mario Kart into this damn movie.
And the Rainbow Road, and
I loved it. I thought that was such a great thing because it makes sense. Like, at the beginning of the movie when they're coming to the Mushroom Kingdom, you see like the warp pipe passages and all the different worlds. And so it makes sense that the Rainbow Road would be something in between.
But I did also like the cat suit thing.
The cat suit moment with Donkey Kong was actually pretty damn good. And I don't care what anybody says. That whole scene was a Smash Brothers reference, as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, if there is another Smash Brothers game, which I'm not sure if there's going to be, the cat suit needs to be an item now. Like, everybody gets to have a cat suit.
I'm surprised it wasn't included in the last one.
I'm not, but the only reason I'm saying that is because where Nintendo would just want to make like that a benefit of Mario, everybody would want the cat suit to be a power-up for every character. So they would want a Link cat suit, and they'd want a Donkey Kong cat suit, and all of that. And that's just way too much stuff to program. So that's probably why they didn't do it. But I'm saying if you do another Smash game, yeah, the cat suit needs to be there. I think this pretty much set that stuff up. Other scenes that you liked?
That was just the whole creepy thing with that Luma in there.
Oh, the creepy Luma that was like super goth. Oh my gosh. Like, this little Luma has been waiting for death for so long, and oh jeez. Oh, like, it was funny the first little, like, it was funny for most of the movie, but then it kind of got old near the end. Where he's just like, I embrace sweet death, and then they'd find a reason not to kill it, and then it's just like, damn it. Just like, come on, man.
It's like, it always looking like it's like doom and gloom, but it sounds happy about it. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was goth Luma at that point. And I love the fact that everybody thinks that since Luma was in it, they were basically referencing that a future movie would be with Rosalina. And I don't know if that's the case. I mean, That'd be cool. But just because Illuma's in there doesn't necessarily mean that. That's kind of the same reference. That's kind of the same justification as Luigi ending up in the Dark Lands and maybe somebody sees what looks like a poltergeist and therefore Luigi's Mansion movie.
But didn't we almost want to just say, was it like a ringtone or something, or some song that almost kind of felt like or sound like Luigi's Mansion music or something?
Yeah, there was something that was a reference to Luigi's Mansion, and that was probably the most you were gonna get, and I was okay with it. I think it was a ringtone to Luigi, and it was Mario calling.
I don't know, but it was just so funny. It was like,
yeah, it was great. I loved a lot of those references. Another positive that I will give this is, frankly, just all the Donkey Kong Country lore that came in there. I was kind of surprised the Kremlins didn't show up, because that actually would have, like, if I were to honestly say, if this movie set up any kind of expansion into the Nintendo universe, a Donkey Kong Country movie is probably the one thing that got set up the most.
well, you wouldn't probably expect the Kremlins, because after all, any of the recent Donkey Kong games that came out before
But
then.
Uncle Phil says it's okay now.
Oh, really? Because they couldn't bring in any Kremlins.
He says it now, but like he'll find a way to be able to say, well, I need royalties or something like that. So, I'm just saying, like, considering the hype around this movie, it wouldn't have surprised me if they called up Phil Spencer and just said, like, are you sure you don't want to be part of this? And he'd be like, there you go. Go ahead and take King K. Rool. I don't care. But no, it didn't happen. But there was a point where I was thinking it might. Honestly, I did think it might happen. Just because of all the references to the Kongs and the fact that they also reference towards the kind of relationship between Cranky and Donkey. I'm thoroughly convinced that there's any movie that could happen from this, aside from like a Mario sequel, it's a Donkey Kong Country movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually that might be a good idea because it would resurrect the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So then at that point, you know, they already had Tropical Freeze come out on Switch. Do a Donkey Kong Country movie and then just pair it with another game. That'd be great. I also will admit I did like a lot of the dungeon segments, not just with Goth Luma, but also like they found a way to be able to bring the penguin back. Instead of having him just have the do you yield moment, instead he got to have some moments there too. Also the dungeon moments were pretty cool because Luigi was probably still the most optimistic one of everybody there. So it's like, okay, this is setting up Luigi pretty well. Any other positives that we want to bring up here?
Do you like the whole... the princess is in another castle?
I did like that reference. I did. Basically, all the Mushroom Kingdom guards are douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that. I even liked the final segment where basically their fight kind of leaked out into Brooklyn. I thought that was really well done. So at that point, like, and even kind of referencing back and saying, oh, this is why you don't see the Mario Brothers plumbing in Brooklyn anymore, because they're off in the Mushroom Kingdom on adventures. I actually did kind of like that. Okay, so we've gone into the positives, Andrea. What did this movie do wrong?
I can't think of
It's
any.
very difficult to think of anything major that it did wrong. This movie is a walking reference fest. It really is. It showcases a lot of Mario's history. Because I think even the Flood shows up at some point, or like the Flood is referenced from Mario Sunshine. The piano that Bowser is playing on is a Ludwig von Koopa, which is a reference to the Koopa Kids. I think there is... No, there isn't a Baby Bowser. Never mind. I thought... No, I'm thinking of like one of the Koopa lieutenants. But it's a walking reference fest. And even just the reference back to Martinet at the end of the movie just kind of anchored that this is what these movies are going to be. Is referencing Mario's history. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't... Like, they found a way to needle Mario Kart. They didn't find a way to needle Mario Tennis and Mario Golf and Mario Soccer and all that stuff, or maybe
Mario
that's-
Olympics.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. That would be interesting if 20th Century Fox actually worked out a deal so that Sonic from the movies could show up in a Mario movie.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it'll happen, but that would be good. But yeah, there really isn't a whole lot I can say that was negative here. I even thought it was cool that they gave you remember the moment where they gave Donkey Kong a power up and he was a fire flower? I thought that was actually kind of cool, and I thought Donkey Kong kind of deserved it considering he is connected to the lineage ultimately. So yeah, I can't really think of anything negative. Even the smaller moments, because apparently the opening segment with the dog, that's supposed to be a reference to The Secret Life of Pets, which Illumination also did. I didn't care. I thought it was great. I'd have to nitpick to find like legit stuff to hate in this movie. I had nothing but a good time. And I remember when we were watching it in St. George, like we were laughing the whole frickin' time.
It was cool seeing the Invincibility Star and Mario and Luigi were kicking Bowser.
They basically became Super Saiyans. Yeah, I like that. They showcased a lot of power-ups in this one too, because I think they showed the Ice Flower with Peach. The mini mushroom. That was actually a good moment in the Donkey Kong fight where he thought he had it, and I'm pretty sure, like me, a bunch of nostalgic Mario fans was like, "Don't eat the blue mushroom, it'll kill you!" And we all completely forgot about the mini shroom. So it's just like, oh, I'm gonna charge at him. I like that.
Oh, and especially didn't they make Bowser eat a mini mushroom and then he was tiny?
Yes, they did. And also the Tanuki suit got referenced. I know a few people were wondering if that was going to happen, which I think was the closest you were going to get to having the raccoon suit. I think you had to have the Tanuki. I think pretty much everything except for the hero cape showed up as a power-up, and that might show up in the next movie because they were teasing that was going to be Yoshi and Super Mario World. So the cape might be next. But ultimately, yeah, we got to see tons of power-ups from Mario games. I'm kind of surprised we got the cat suit as quick as we did, but that just shows how much Miyamoto loves that cat suit. So, okay. Final call for negative stuff, Andrea. I can't really think of it. Maybe Goth Luma, because he eventually wore on me a little bit, but I'm having to push so hard to justify that. Even Toad, I don't have a problem with how Keegan-Michael Key played Toad. And ultimately, they did reference Captain Toad and all that. See what I mean? I can't really... Okay, so out of 5, what would we give the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I'll probably give it a 5.
5 out of 5. This is not only a fun movie that I can go watch again and again. This has actually been like the first movie in a very long time in the last couple of years where I would have no problem putting our kids in front of it and know that they would enjoy it, kind of thing. Because like for all the people that want to scream at me, well, what about Encanto? What about Raya? What about... I haven't seen those. I can't judge them. So I don't know if I would put my kids in front of them. But Mario, I totally can. I totally can. And I'm so glad Illumination did what they did with it. Because I think it bridged the gap between veteran Mario players and new Mario players. And with Mario Wonder on the horizon, this is only going to make things better for Mario as a franchise. So yeah, 5 out of 5. It was well worth the wait. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the movie of the year this year. But unfortunately, that's the last recent movie that we're going to be taking on, because everything else that we took on in St. George was at minimum a year old. But Mario was was Mario worth the wait? Because we had to, like, I still remember having conversations with people at work and people on the streams like, you're waiting until August to watch the Mario movie? What is wrong with you? That's the way our schedule works.
Yep.
And frankly, it was worth it. It was more than worth it. So, yeah, 5 out of 5 from both of us, and feel free to let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of the Mario movie. I'd love to have that conversation. Make sure to also like and subscribe on YouTube. We really do appreciate it, as well as on Rumble. You can also like and subscribe on podcasting outlets like Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Player.fm, and Spotify, and have the conversation there and give us a review if you want. We actually do have 5 more movies. We might have 6. I can't remember exactly, but we had a movie a day, roughly, in St. George. So we got lots of movies to talk about. And you guys can look forward to all of that. But the next one that we're going to be tackling in Geek News Movie Night is one that we also were waiting about 1.5 years for. And that is the Fruits Basket Prelude. So we will go ahead and talk about that next time. Until then, have a good day or night when you're listening to this. And we will see you guys next time for that. And if you aren't already, go and check out some of the other stuff that's going on right now, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City stuff, or our review of Season 2 of Shield Hero. I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy that too. And until then, we'll see you guys next time for Fruits Basket, the Prelude. Peaches, 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 peaches.